Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob today had an audience with the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The 30-minute audience took place at the President's residence in Abu Dhabi. This was the first meeting between the two leaders since Sheikh Mohammed's appointment as the new president of the UAE on 14th May. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri arrived in the capital this morning to undertake a 4-day working visit to UAE, the second since he became the premier in August 2021. According to officials, both leaders discussed ways to strengthen 40 years of bilateral ties between both countries, as well as explore new areas of cooperation such as food security, digitalization in education and renewable energy. Today, the Prime Minister is scheduled to witness the exchange of a Memorandum of Understanding between Ranhill Utilities and Abu Dhabi Future Energy Company, PJSC Masdar. In 2021, the UAE was Malaysia's largest trading partner, second largest export destination, and second largest import source among West Asian countries. For the year 2021, Malaysia's total trade with the UAE increased by 7.9% to 22.29 billion ringgit from 20.65 billion ringgit in 2020. The Ministry of Rural Development KPLB wants to transform the preschools Tabika of the Community Development Department KEMAS into smart classrooms in line with the current element of digitalization. Its Minister Datuk Seri Mat Zee Khalid said KPLB had applied to the Ministry of Finance for the allocation under Budget 2023. According to Datuk Seri Mat Zee, digitalization is crucial at the moment and KEMAS cannot fully rely on the old teaching methods.
Kalau boleh memulakanlah pasar secara konsep pendigitalan lah di sekolah KEMAS. Maksudnya ada elemen of pendigitalan di sekolah KEMAS daripada belajar yang biasa ni lah. Tapi kita nak try, kita minta satu semua KEMAS ada 11,000. Kita nak minta dulu dalam 10% macam tu saja.
The minister said this to reporters after opening the second triennial delegates conference of the Peninsula Malaysia KEMAS Staff Union Kesatria in Putrajaya. The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry is taking a serious view of the shortage of beds in maternity wards at government hospitals, and it plans to take this issue up to the cabinet level for discussion with the Ministry of Health, MOH. Its Deputy Minister Datuk Seri Zaila Muhammad Yusof said she believed MOH would resolve this matter soon.
Kementerian Wanita memang kita sangat mengharapkan, sebab saya memahami bagaimana perasaan ibu yang ingin bersalin, terutama yang mempunyai anak-anak yang sakit dan sebagainya. Keselesaan sangat penting. Jadi insya-Allah kita akan perkara ini akan dibawa oleh Yang Berhormat Menteri lah kepada mesyuarat kabinet.
The Deputy Minister said this after officiating at the Go Digital MP UK programme at Bazar Siti Fatimah Rantau Panjang. The media recently reported the difficulty faced by women to deliver their babies at government hospitals, as they had to sit in chairs while awaiting delivery and sometimes had to wait for days before getting a bed. They also encountered various other difficulties, among them having to be referred to several other hospitals due to the shortage of beds. The Malaysian Meteorological Department Met Malaysia expects continuous rain in several areas in Sarawak, Sabah and Labuan. In a statement, Met Malaysia said the affected areas in Sarawak are Mukah, Bintulu, Miri and Limbang. Meanwhile, the affected West Coast areas in Sabah are Papar, Putatan, Penampang, Kota Kinabalu, Tuaran and Kota Belud. Interior areas Sipitang, Kuala Penyu and Beaufort, Kudat and Labuan. First category strong winds and rough seas are also expected to occur in the waters of Sabah's west and east coasts, as well as Labuan starting from today to Friday, with wind speeds of 40 to 50 kilometers per hour and waves of up to 3.5 meters. Met Malaysia also said that thunderstorms with heavy rain and strong winds are expected to occur in the northern states of Peninsular Malaysia, including Kelantan and Terengganu, from 28th to 30th September as a result of Typhoon Noru, which has made landfall in the northern Philippines and is expected to move west towards Vietnam. Following this, westerly winds are expected to increase in the country's regional areas based on the Met Malaysia Weather Research and Forecasting Model Analysis, European Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts, and Global Forecast System. The public is advised to always check Met Malaysia web portal and social media, as well as download the My Cuaca application for the latest and verified information. Perodua unveils its first hybrid model. Stay with us. Police are investigating a video showing the attempted abduction of a student outside Sekolah Kebangsaan Pengkalan Taman Pinji Mewah in Ipoh, Perak on 23rd September, which recently went viral on social media. Perak Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said they received a report on the incident from the victim's mother at 9 p.m. the same day. In a statement, Datuk Muhammad Yusri said a special investigation team to look into the case from different angles. He said police are also working closely with the State Education Department and the school to improve crime prevention and safety measures in schools. At the same time, he advised parents to drop off and pick up students at the stipulated times and inform the school if they have any problem in doing so. The case went viral on Facebook after the parents posted the attempted kidnapping of their daughter while waiting outside the school, but the victim managed to escape. The prosecution has filed an appeal against the decision of the High Court in acquitting former Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi on 40 charges of receiving bribes in connection with the foreign visa system VLN. This was confirmed by Attorney General Tan Sri Idrus Harun. On 23rd September, High Court Judge Datuk Muhammad Yazid Mustafa acquitted Ahmad Zahid, 69, who is also UMNO President, after finding that the prosecution had failed to establish a prima facie at the end of the prosecution case against him. The judge, among others, ruled that 3 key prosecution witnesses in the case were unreliable and not credible. He also said the 3 key witnesses testified that the monies were placed in a brown envelope on each occasion of delivery, but the prosecution did not produce any sample envelope as evidence. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid was charged with 33 counts of receiving bribes, amounting to 13.56 million Singaporean dollars from Ultra Kirana Sundan Berhad to extend the contract of the company as the operator of the one-stop centre service in China and the VLN system, as well as to maintain its contract agreement with the Home Ministry for the supply of the VLN integrated system. Local car maker Perusahaan Otomobil Kedua Sdn Bhd Perodua has introduced its first hybrid model, a Tiva Hybrid, limited to 300 individual and corporate customers today. President and Chief Executive Officer Datuk Sri Zainal Abidin Ahmad said the introduction of the hybrid model was part of its first study into electric vehicles and their long-term mobility as service market study.
As well as a new way of reaching our customers.
He said the study aimed to understand group driving behaviour of hybrid vehicles in populated locations in the Klang Valley, Penang and Johor Bahru, as well as consumer acceptance of a 5-year subscription service Perodua is offering to corporate customers under its EZ Mobi subscription service. He said selected customers must pay 500 ringgit monthly for 5 years or clock in a mileage of 100 1,000 kilometers, whichever is earlier, and return the car to Perodua. All other obligations of owning a vehicle, such as following the maintenance schedule, paying vehicle insurance and road tax, will all be fully managed by Perodua, as the customer would only need to pay the subscription fee to enjoy the package. The Perodua Activa Hybrid uses a series hybrid system in which a set of electric motors drive the wheels of the vehicle, while a 1.2-litre WAVEX engine acts as a power generator to charge the engine. With this technology, the Perodua Activa Hybrid Zero system is able to reach a distance of 31.3 km per litre based on the Malaysian driving cycle test. Bangladesh ferry tragedy claims 50 lives. That and more in the foreign segment. The death toll from the sinking of an overcrowded ferry carrying Hindu devotees in northern Bangladesh climbed to 50 yesterday, with many passengers missing a day after the disaster. Jahurul Islam, Chief Administrator of the Northern District of Panchagrab, where the accident occurred, said the dead recovered so far included 25 women and 13 children. Divers were still searching for more bodies of devotees who had been travelling to a temple on the occasion of Mahalaya, when Hindus make offerings to their ancestors. The death toll was the worst for a boat or ship disaster in the country since 2015. A 5-member committee was investigating the sinking, but initial reports suggested the boat was carrying almost 3 times its capacity. Authorities were making checks on the list of the missing based on information provided by relatives, he said, while passengers said more than 70 people had been on board. Police said some 15 people were still missing, while some of the passengers managed to swim ashore or were rescued. Dozens of people die each year in ferry accidents in Bangladesh, a low-lying country that has extensive inland waterways and lacks safety standards. President Vladimir Putin granted Russian citizenship to former U.S. intelligence contractor Edward Snowden 9 years after he exposed the scale of secret surveillance operations by the National Security Agency, NSA.
When you see everything, you see them on a more frequent basis.
Snowden, 39, fled the United States and was given asylum in Russia after leaking secret files in 2013 that revealed vast domestic and international surveillance operations carried out by the NSA where he worked. U.S. authorities have for years wanted him returned to the United States to face a criminal trial on espionage charges. There was no immediate reaction from Snowden, whose name appeared without Kremlin comment in a Putin decree conferring citizenship on a list of 72 foreign-born individuals. Snowden's lawyer, Anatoly Kucherena, said that Snowden's wife, Lindsay Mills, who gave birth to a son in 2020, would also apply for citizenship. Russia granted Snowden permanent residency rights in 2020, paving the way for him to obtain Russian citizenship. That year, a U.S. appeals court found the program Snowden had exposed was unlawful and that the U.S. intelligence leaders who publicly defended it were not telling the truth. Putin, a former Russian spy chief, said in 2017 that Snowden, who keeps a low profile while living in Russia, was wrong to leak U.S. secrets but was not a traitor. Meanwhile, U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said that Snowden, who has been charged with multiple felonies in U.S. court, retains his U.S. citizenship.
Announced an additional 457. Our position has not changed. Mr. Snowden should return to the United States, where he should face justice as any other American citizen would. Perhaps the only thing that has changed is that as a result of his Russian citizenship, apparently now he may well be conscripted to fight in Russia's war in Ukraine.
Putin last week announced a mobilization of 300,000 Russian reservists to contribute to the Russian army's fight in Ukraine. However, Kucherena said that Snowden would not be called up to serve given he had no prior experience in the Russian army. After Snowden sought refuge in Russia, the U.S. Justice Department filed a criminal complaint with 3 felony charges against Snowden: theft of government property, disclosing crucial U.S. defense information, and providing classified materials to unauthorized unauthorized persons. Russian-organized referendums that could lead to annexing 15% of Ukraine's territory were due to end today, as the Kremlin said it made no decisions on closing its borders as the first mobilizations since World War II prompted some to flee. Voting in the Ukrainian provinces of Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson and Zaporizhzhia in the east and southeast began on Friday and have been dismissed as a sham by Western nations, which have pledged not to recognize the results. In Russia, the call-up of some 300,000 reservists has led to the first sustained protests since the invasion began, with one monitoring group estimating at least 2,000 people have been arrested so far. Flights out of Russia have sold out and cars have clogged border checkpoints, with reports of a 48-hour queue at the Seoul road border to Georgia, the rare pro-Western neighbor that allows Russian citizens to enter without a visa. Russia counts millions of former conscripts as official reservists, and the authorities have not spelled out precisely who is due to be called up, as that part of President Vladimir Putin's order is classified. The mobilization has also seen the first sustained criticism of the authorities within state-controlled media since the war began. Moscow says it wants to rid Ukraine of nationalists and protect Russian-speaking communities. However, Kiev and the West describe Russia's actions as an unprovoked war of aggression. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres renewed his call for the global abolition of nuclear weapons as concerns grow over Russia's threat to use them in the Ukraine war. Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a speech last week, made a thinly veiled threat to use nuclear weapons following Ukrainian forces' recapture of land seized Moscow in its 7-month invasion. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken replied that Washington has told Moscow, including through private channels, of catastrophic consequences over any use of nuclear weapons. Guterres voiced disappointment that a review conference last month of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty failed to reach a consensus.
The idea that any country could fight and win a nuclear war is deranged. Any use of a nuclear weapon would incite a humanitarian Armageddon. We need to step back.
Russia blocks the outcome after the draft document backed Ukraine's control of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, whose occupation by Moscow has raised fears of a major accident. The United States condemned Russia's stance, but no nuclear power backed a UN treaty adopted in 2017 that called for a comprehensive prohibition of nuclear weapons, with the mostly developing countries in support.
Without eliminating nuclear weapons, there can be no peace, there can be no trust, and there can be no sustainable future.
The Canadian government has announced that they will remove all COVID-19 restrictions for inbound travellers on the 1st of October, as well as testing, quarantine and isolation requirements. Elaborating further on the matter, the government said the decision to drop the restrictions was based on the country's vaccination rate, availability of newer vaccines and treatments, as well as scientific modelling that shows the country had passed the peak of the latest wave of coronavirus infections. More than 90% of Canadians over 12 have taken the primary series of a COVID vaccine, and earlier this month, Canada authorised Moderna Inc.'s bivalent COVID-19 shots for adults in the country's first Omicron-adapted vaccine. Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos says the government was prepared to reinstate restrictions if the need arises.
In a COVID-19 world, which in particular we know has been generating all sorts of surprises over the last 2 years and a half. So we need to be prepared. We'll be prepared. Obviously, we have no hope to reintroduce some of these measures, but if we need to protect the safety of Canadians, we will have to.
Travelers, regardless of citizenship, will not have to submit health information through the Arrivican app or provide proof of vaccination from Saturday. A requirement for travelers to wear masks on planes and trains would also be dropped. Colombia and Venezuela reopened cargo transport at a major border crossing yesterday, potentially enabling billions of dollars in trade after years of icy bilateral relations and heavily restricted economic ties. The reopening, which will allow goods like coal, toilet paper and food to move through crossings between the Colombian city of Cúcuta and the Venezuelan state of Terima, was a key campaign promise of Colombia's new leftist president Gustavo Petro. Petro added that both Colombian and Venezuelan economies needed to integrate. Merchants on both sides of the 2,219-kilometer frontier have been eagerly awaiting the normalization. Hopeful open trade will allow them access to raw materials and new customers. Bilateral trade totaled $7 billion in 2008 before Venezuela's then-president Hugo Chavez froze it to protest a Bogota-Washington military deal. Caracas broke off relations with Bogota in 2019 after Venezuelan opposition activists tried to send aid trucks from Colombia. The two countries had said flights between their capitals would also restart, but U.S. sanctions against Venezuela's state airline Conviasa have delayed them. Cuba declared an emergency alert in its 6 most western provinces as fast-approaching Hurricane Ian strengthened rapidly, with Florida also wrapping up preparations ahead of a possible hit. Authorities in Havana said they were ready to evacuate those from the most affected areas, while also organizing fresh drinking water supplies and medical services. The U.S. National Hurricane Center NHC warned Ian was intensifying and could pass over western Cuba late Monday and early Tuesday. Cuba's INSMET Meteorology Institute said Ian was advancing at a speed of 22 kilometers per hour. The 6 provinces put on alert are Pinar del Rio, Artemisa, La Habana, Mayabeque, Cienfuegos, and Isla Dela. In Florida, the city of Tampa was under hurricane watch, and Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency in all 67 countries as officials scrambled to prepare for the storm's forecast landing on late Wednesday or Thursday. The governor urged residents to stock up on food, water, medicine and fuel, and he activated 7,000 National Guard members to help with the effort. Authorities in several Florida municipalities, including Miami, Fort Lauderdale and Tampa, started distributing free sandbags to residents to help protect their homes from the risk of flooding. President Joe Biden approved emergency aid to 24 countries in Florida through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Still to come in sports, Thiem reaches Tel Aviv Open second round. Malaysia's top 3 snooker players are among the local challenge vying for honours at several high-profile amateur events under the World Snooker Championship Series in Kuala Lumpur over the next 2 weeks. Lim Kok Leong, Moh Kin Ho and To Chuan Leong are currently in action in the first event, the Asian Six Reds Championship at the High-End Snooker Club in Kuala Lumpur. Kok Leong, who won the Six Reds individual gold at Hanoi Sea Games, will be aiming to add the Asian crown to his name. The other Malaysians in the tournament are Muhammad Reza Hassan and 4 wildcard entrants Muhammad Zulfadli, Hao Bun Meng, Ng Yuan Yu and Lo Chung Leong. They will be competing against former Thai professional James Watana, who won the singles in Hanoi, and other leading amateurs around the globe, such as Amir Sakosh, Iran, Pankaj Advani, India, Kamal Chawla, India, Darren Morgan, Wales, and Ezara Kachaiwong, Thailand, among others. The event will be followed by the World Six Reds Championship from 29 September to 4th October and the World Women's Six Red Championship and the World Men's Team Championship. Kok Leong, Kin Ho, Chuan Leong and Reza will be the players with an outside chance to win the World Six Reds, while Suhana Dewi Sabtu, Tan Shok Sia, Lee Suk Kwan and Chia Yuan Yuan will be competing in the women's event. On to tennis. Dominic Thiem didn't have things all his own, but he stepped up when he needed to reach the second round at the Tel Aviv Watergen Open. The Austrian wildcard improved on serve and found his range as the match went on to overcome Laszlo Djere 5-7, 7-6 and 6-4 in 2 hours and 40 minutes at the ATP 250 event. The former world number 3 Thiem, who reached the final at an ATP Challenger Tour event in Reims earlier this month, will next play second seed Marin Cilic as he aims to advance to his 4th tour-level quarterfinal of the season. In a hard-fought battle, Thiem fired 25 winners and was strong on serve in the third set, not facing a break point in the decided to level his ATP head-to-head series against Djere at 1-1. In other action, Roman Safulin defeated Frenchman Hugo Grenier 3-6, 6-4 and 6-2 in 2 hours and 4 minutes to earn his first tour-level win since he defeated Mikael Ymer in Belgrade in April. In football, Portugal's squad prepared in Braga for the last match of their Nations League campaign, knowing a win or a draw against Spain will see them make the finals. Portugal are top of League A, Group 2 with 10 points, 2 more than Spain, and a draw against their neighbours today will see them through to the last 4.
Pressão? Acham que a gente pode ter mais pressão que o que tem? Estes jogadores têm pressão em todo lado, jogam sempre para ganhar, para ser campeões. Para esta seleção joga sempre para ganhar, tem essa obrigação, é exigível a esta seleção isso, portanto mais pressão não podemos ter, não é? Quer dizer, é que nós sabemos viver bem com a pressão porque felizmente temos conseguido resultados.
Star striker Cristiano Ronaldo has seen goals for the national team dry up in recent months, and there have been suggestions from some quarters about whether coach Fernando Santos should now look elsewhere. Ronaldo joined the squad for the training session without any problems, despite a chance collision with Czech goalkeeper Thomas Vaclik on Saturday. Meanwhile, headstrong Spain coach Luis Enrique praised his team's defending ahead of the Crunch Nations League clash with Portugal. La Roja came in for criticism in the defeat by Switzerland on Saturday, Spain's first since October 2018 on home soil, with both the visitors' goal coming from corners. Previous runners-up Spain must beat Portugal to win Nations League Group A2 and reach the final 4 of the tournament again. Spain will be up against former Real Madrid striker Cristiano Ronaldo now at Manchester United. He is the all-time record international goal scorer with 117 strikes, ahead of retired Iran great Ali Daei on 109. Portugal have been playing well and are on one of the continent's most informed sides heading into the final stretch before the World Cup tournament in Qatar, which starts on 20th November. Despite concerns about Spain's from heading into the World Cup, Luis Enrique said his team would not let supporters down. And that ends updates at noon. Wrapping up with a reminder of our top story, Prime Minister meets UAE President in Abu Dhabi. Tune into news at 10 coming up at 10 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Lynn Fong. Stay tuned to TV2 and have a pleasant afternoon.